At the dawn of the 1990s, in Atlanta, Georgia, arguably the greatest girl group in pop music history was soon to launch into the music stratosphere. According to Black Past, TLC is the best-selling American girl group in music history, with over 65 million albums sold. As a trio, Tion T-Boz Watkins, Lisa Left Eye Lopes, and Rosanda Chili Thomas released 4 studio albums in a decade and won 56 different awards, including 5 Grammys. Combining hip-hop from Left Eye and R&B from Chili and T-Boz with lyrics that ranged from spiritual to SUL, the group helped put Atlanta on the musical map and reshaped girl groups for the generations to follow. It is not a coincidence that by the end of the decade, 2 of the most famous music acts, Outkast from Atlanta and the R&B hip-hop girl group Destiny's Child, reflected TLC's influence. But it is the death of their most popular member that left the world in shock. Lisa Left Eye Lopes will forever be enshrined in the history books as one of the most treasured musicians. The late rapper, who rose to prominence as the wild child of the revered hip-hop/R&B girl group TLC, left behind a legacy that many musicians still aspire to achieve to this day. Scoring a plethora of Grammy and MTV Video Music Awards, along with selling 4 multi-platinum records with TLC and 1 platinum record with side project Black, Left Eye's music touched millions of people around the world and earned her rightful accolades from her unique rap skills and undeniable charisma. As success mounted for the rapper and TLC, tensions began flaring up between the trio following the release of 1999's Fan Mail due to Left Eye's notably reduced appearances on tracks. The feud, however, was eventually settled, and the group performed one last time for MTV's 20th anniversary before the rapper's untimely death in 2002. On April 25, 2002, Left Eye was tragically killed in a car crash while on a spiritual retreat in Honduras. According to the New York Times, the rapper was at the wheel of a rented Mitsubishi Sport utility vehicle and lost control, which then veered off the road and turned over several times. While her death came as a shocking blow to the music world, the rapper had eerily predicted her death several weeks beforehand, something her fans have linked to a Hollywood ritual. Around 2 weeks before her tragic death, Left Eye was involved in a car accident, also in Honduras, that took the life of 10-year-old Bayron Isol Fuentes Lopez. The child was fatally struck by the rapper's van when he suddenly stepped off the median, according to the New York Post. Instead of calling the police, however, the TLC member and her friends assumed responsibility and paid the boy's family $3,700 for the child's medical care and funeral, and also gave the boy's family about $925, per the outlet. The boy's mother, Gloria Fuentes, noted that Lisa was an excellent person the way she treated me and took care of my son. Prior to her death, Left Eye was notably in a fragile mental state, and the death of the boy seemed to have pushed her into an even darker mood. What truly makes this scenario eerier, however, is the fact that the rapper believed a spirit was stalking her weeks prior to her death. Per Dazed, in the final weeks of her life, she describes feeling like she's being followed by a spirit, while the rapper also noted his last name was Lopes, an ominous foretelling of her future. The rapper, who was a highly spiritual individual, believed the spirit that has been following her meant to kill her, but killed the boy instead. Following the death of Left Eye, tributes poured in from all around the music world. In a 2002 interview with CNN, TLC members Rosanda Chili Thomas and Tion T-Boz Watkins opened up about Lopez's death. "She was our sister, you know," Thomas told the outlet, reiterating that no matter what we went through, we're sisters. She then mentioned that sisters argue, and they kiss and make up, and that's just how our relationship was. Watkins chimed in, noting that Lopez will never be replaced. Then President and CEO of Arista Records Antonio L.A., Reed stated, "No words can possibly express the sorrow and sadness I feel for this most devastating loss," adding that Left Eye was a gifted and talented musical inspiration and like a daughter to him. 1 year after her death, her family founded the Lisa Lopes Foundation, which, according to their website, is dedicated to assisting families in need while empowering individuals with the tools to live a more self-sufficient and healthier lifestyle. Highlighting the rapper's affinity for mental, physical, and spiritual alignment, the foundation serves to educate those on clean eating, local farming, and ultimately leading healthier lives. On her last day, Left Eye was one of 3 people who was thrown out of the window, dying on impact from blunt force trauma to the head. The other passengers endured injuries, but the rapper was the only one killed in the crash. The disturbing moment can be seen at the end of the documentary Last Days, as the rapper can be seen driving with passengers in the back seat. The sound of their screams the last thing the viewer hears as the vehicle runs off the road and the camera cuts out. At the time of her death, she was working on establishing 2 educational centers for children in an impoverished country, Camp Wyack and Creative Castle. Soon after Left Eye's death, the other group members, Chili and T-Boz, learned their label wanted to release a greatest hits album for TLC. However, this was contrary to the group's wishes, as they'd all been focused on a new album. As Boz explained years later, "We wanted to finish what the 3 of us had started as best as we could under that type of pressure and pain." Despite their recent loss, the 2 found themselves quickly returning to an in-progress album. There were painful moments. Chili and T-Boz couldn't bear to be in the studio when Left Eye's voice was heard. But they also felt the project was a way to honor their departed member, who can be heard on 4 tracks out of 13. After the 3D album came out, Chili told the LA Times that she thought Left Eye would be proud of us and this new album. 3D was released 7 months after the tragic accident. From the beginning, the remaining members of TLC declared no one could ever take Left Eye's spot in the group. "You can't replace a TLC girl," Boz said in 2002. "The chemistry we have is something God gave us. You can't put that together." And in 2013, Chili told Rolling Stone, "I'm never going to put another girl in my group. Never." The 2 did take part in a 2005 reality show, Are You the Girl with T-Boz and Chili, that looked for performers. But they explained this was a limited opportunity for someone to take part in 1 concert and 1 song. According to Boz, "Basically, we are trying to give back to our fans and find 1 girl and give her a chance of a lifetime to do 1 last performance with TLC." TLC's remaining duo initially wondered how they would tour without Lopes, but they found a way to move forward by including her in their tours. The group's performances have featured Left Eye from past concerts, though, despite speculation, never a hologram-like Tupac Shakur performance. Sharing her image could be emotional for the band, as well as fans. Boz once told People magazine, "We never ever looked at the screen because we would not have been able to finish the show." In addition to tours, Left Eye was a part of the TLC biopic Crazy Sexy Cool, the TLC story that aired on VH1 in 2013. And following a successful Kickstarter campaign in 2017, TLC released a new self-titled album that managed to incorporate the rapper's voice. "It's her talking. It's from an interview," Chili told E! News. "It's the essence of Lisa that you remember her for, the live, the funky, the spunky energy that she had." In 2002, she told CNN, "Through us, people will always remember Lisa. We'll always be a group. It doesn't stop." And over the years, grief over losing the rapper has transformed into something more positive. In 2017, Chili declared, "I want to celebrate her life. I want to feel good about what we did together. I don't want to be in a dark place anymore. I want to feel like we built something great together and keep that going for her." Left Eye's vivacity is immortalized in the early moments of their group's formation, as well as in early music videos. Whether she was dancing in the background, folding laundry, or delivering the poetic equivalent of "size doesn't matter," her presence was mesmerizing. Record label executive L.A. Reid, who worked closely with Left Eye with LaFace Records, sees the late rapper's resemblance in some of today's musicians, especially Nicki Minaj. "I see a little Left Eye in there," he mused to The Hollywood Reporter. The legacy continues from generation to generation. It's there on Side to Side, Ariana Grande's collaboration with Minaj, who gesticulates their Soul Cycle-inspired message, and with Rihanna refusing to mince words on S&M. Left Eye's goofy lightheartedness coexisted alongside her raunchy rhymes and cybergoth fashion sensibilities. She was funny, but never veered into parody. Everything about her was sincere, and her ability to embody contradictory traits came down to one thing. "I'm a Gemini," she says, smiling at the camera. She was determined to be something in life, Atlanta rapper Jermaine Dupri told MTV in 2002. She was a true rock star. She didn't care about no press. She was the one that would curse on TV. She had tattoos. You could expect the unexpected. When you see Lisa, you could expect something from her. That's the gift she carried. Without a doubt, Left Eye was the rock star of the band. In 1994, she dominated headlines after burning down the Atlanta mansion belonging to NFL Pro Bowler Andre Ricin, her then boyfriend. Reportedly fed up with months of adultery and emotional and physical abuse, the last straw for her was stumbling across 20 pairs of new sneakers the Atlanta Falcons star had splurged on, and not one of those boxes was for her. "I'd been drinking," she revealed, "and there was number size 4. I just threw a pair of sneakers in the tub and lit them. I lit them on fire." Within minutes, the house was engulfed in flames. The rapper was charged with first-degree arson and sentenced to live at a halfway house and 5 years probation, in addition to paying a $10,000 fine. It wasn't in Left Eye's nature to shy away from the heat. Back in the day, Vibe magazine released what would come to be one of their most successful issues, poking fun at the incident by dressing TLC on the cover in firefighter gear. TLC fires it up, burning up the charts, burning down the house, is splashed across an image of the three with Lopes looking unbothered in a shiny cherry-colored fireman's helmet. In the interview, she spoke with a determination that wasn't apologetic or sheepish, but rather vengeful. "The best way for me to get those people back is to succeed," she told Vibe. "I finally started looking at myself like I'm worth something, and it's because I've accomplished everything people told me I wouldn't. The best way for me to get people back is to come back out even harder." The group's sophomore album, Crazy Sexy Cool, released in 1994, boasting hits like Waterfalls, Creep, and Red Light Special, has since sold over 14 million copies worldwide, becoming the best-selling album by an American girl group. TLC drew attention with The Fire, but held it with what remains to be one of the best R&B albums of all time. Left Eye's verse on Waterfalls, inspired by a rainbow she saw in the sky on her way home from rehab, is emblematic of her artistry, personal, confident, and raw. "I saw a rainbow yesterday, but too many storms," she ruminates, "have come and gone, leaving a trace of not one God-given ray." Despite the unprecedented success of Crazy Sexy Cool, things weren't sitting right with Left Eye. In May 1999, she followed up with journalist Anthony DeCurtis after he sat down with the trio for a feature with Vibe. "There's something very important that I want you to put in the article," the rapper told Curtis. "It would mean something to me, so I was wondering if you could quote me on this one." "Okay, here we go. I've graduated from this era. I cannot stand 100% behind this TLC project and the music that is supposed to represent me. This will be my last interview until I can speak freely about the truth and present myself on my solo project." She opposed Creep, threatening to wear black tape against her mouth in the music video to protest the song. "I was totally against that song because I wasn't down with cheating on your man," she laughed. "If a girl caught her man cheating," this was my thinking, "instead of telling her to cheat back, why don't we just tell her to leave?" The rapper laughed. All the members of TLC had a voice, but Left Eye was compelled to use hers with purpose and without adhering to the industry's rules. In 1997, while entering the VMAs, she exposed to MTV TLC's internal issues with longtime producer Dallas Austin. "I'm just going to be honest with everybody," she smiled knowingly. "Dallas recorded some songs with TLC that we hadn't yet gone into record, but Dallas tried to charge us $4.2 million, so he might not be on the project. So we've been fighting with Dallas for about 10 months. We have not yet gone to the studio yet, and hey, don't get mad at me, I just have to tell it like it is. He came down, but he charged us more than Babyface." Famously breaking down how TLC had gone broke selling 10 million albums, the rapper was the group's unofficial spokesperson, an unwavering leader whose vision, values, and veracity made the group an empowered juggernaut. Maybe, just maybe, her guts and courage formed the path to her untimely death. Fan Mail, the group's fourth and final album with Left Eye, scarcely featured the rapper. Largely replaced by a computer-generated android, Vic E., whose ominous presence would become the most dated part of the record, the rapper's absence is palpable. It would, however, come to be visually the most characteristically Left Eye album of their discography. Slick, tacky PVC wrapped their bodies in the penultimate No Scrubs music video, and they danced inside a white-lit space shuttle. The trio wore black platform heels, airy silver ensembles, and seraphic hairstyles, communicating an Afrofuturism unlike anyone who came before them. While the music video would feature a later recorded verse by Lopes today, it sounds like a lost relic, overshadowed by the ever-celebrated chorus. Left Eye is cyber perfection, reveling in technological attachments. The highly stylized video and its lasting legacy are reflected in today's visuals. Their influence is seen today from British designer Nasser Majar's PVC-heavy AW14 collection to the futuristic aesthetics of the Migos, Nicki Minaj, and Cardi B collaboration Motorsport. Her solo work, which followed soon after the release of Fan Mail, ranged from mentoring artists Black, hosting MTV's short-lived search for the next star, The Cut, and feature verses including Spice Girl, Melanie C's Never Be the Same Again, NSYNC's Space Cowboy, and Keith Sweat's How Do You Like It? Left Eye dedicated her free time after the conclusion of the Fan Mail tour to recording her debut solo album, Supernova. It's set to detail the most tender parts of her life over 13 tracks, from her father's death to her tumultuous relationship with Risson. Initially scheduled for release on a date to coincide with the 11th anniversary of her grandfather's death, Arista Records canceled the American release. Released in the UK, Block Party became a chart-topping 20 hit, but performed dismally in the US. The goofy and upbeat hip-hop single, which NME imagined was set in a ghetto Sesame Street, was reminiscent of TLC's early work. It was colorful, joyous, and otherworldly, all the things that the rapper embodied. Its poor reception in the US led to the cancellation of all forthcoming singles. Jesus, I need a break. Left Eye exhales in the more candid moments in the documentary The Last Days of Left Eye. Energy never dies, it just transforms, was Left Eye's spiritual motto. Since her death in 2002, her inimitable mystique has endured, taking on an immortal presence in pop culture. There is a track called A New Star is Born, she told MTV in 2002, describing a forthcoming song on her solo album, Supernova. It's saying that there is no such thing as death. I don't care what happens or what people think about death. It doesn't matter. We all share the same space. Just months after making these comments, the animated star tragically passed away. Everything about Left Eye was larger than life and distinctly profound. Always dressing for excess, she braided her hair into colossal hoops that demanded attention and donned the wildest ensembles with all sincerity. She was the embodiment of crazy, sexy cool, the futurism in Fan Mail, and the excitement of ooh on the TLC tip. Her album title, Supernova, refers to a star that suddenly increases greatly in brightness because of a catastrophic explosion that ejects most of its mass. A supernova can outshine entire galaxies and radiate more energy than the sun can in one lifetime. The aura of Left Eye lives on in TLC. Everything that made her who she was, from the contradictions and controversy to championing the truth, continues to shine, radiating more energy than some stars ever will in one lifetime. In addition to her work with TLC, Left Eye played a key role in creating several classic records during the 90s and early aughts. In 1997, she dropped a verse on Lil' Kim's Not Tonight, Ladies' Night remix, which earned a nomination for Best Rap Performance by a duo or group at the 1998 Grammy Awards, and was also featured on Spice Girls member Melanie C's 2000 single, Never Be the Same Again, which topped the charts in 35 countries. However, Her most memorable guest spot came with her appearance on R&B crooner Donald Jones's 1999 single, You Know What's Up, which landed atop the Hot R&B/Hip-Hop Songs chart and peaked at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. The rapper was also somewhat of a society advocate. In 1992, the world was still being educated on how to properly prevent the spread of sexually transmitted diseases after NBA superstar Magic Johnson's HIV announcement made the topic a hot-button issue. Using her platform as an artist to help join that cause and ease negative stigmas surrounding S, Left Eye addressed the elephant in the room in a light-hearted yet responsible manner, using condoms to cover the right lens of the various pairs of glasses she would rock in music videos like Ain't Too Proud to Beg and elsewhere during the group's rise to fame. Similar themes of SUL empowerment and agency were embedded within her self-penned rhymes on various occasions, resulting in her becoming a beacon for S positivity. But more importantly, throughout her career, Left Eye proved herself to be a visionary, utilizing her genius, talent, and resources for herself and others in her circumference. One action that exemplified her self-value outside of being an artist was the establishment of Left Eye Productions in December 1994, under which she formed, managed, and promoted talent until her death. One discovery the rapper made was that of Black, an R&B trio based out of Atlanta. She took them under her wing, scored their deal with Columbia Records, and even gave them airtime via a cameo in the music video for Lil' Kim's Not Tonight Ladies Night remix. Releasing their eponymous 1999 debut, which was executive produced by the TLC member, Black would earn Left Eye her first plaque as an executive. Unfortunately, due in part to the rapper's death, Black's 2002 sophomore effort, Blackout, would be shelved in the U.S. before finally being released stateside in 2007. However, Left Eye's imprint on the group's style and artistry factoring into their success is another proponent of her contributions that are oft unsung. For the three women who made up TLC, while their success marked them as music legends, they have faced trials before, during, and after their time in the spotlight. Unstable upbringings, relationship issues, band infighting, and the tragic death of one of their own have marked the TLC story as much as their music. Despite this, the surviving members have carried on the group's name and continue to entertain fans. According to VH1's Behind the Music, both Tion T-Boz Watkins and Rosanda Chili Thomas grew up in single-mother homes, while Lisa Left Eye Lopes's childhood was fraught with fear from her domineering father, Ronald Lopes. He was a very dominant man. He was the king of the castle. What I say goes, Lisa said of her father. As told by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the young Lisa recalled her father assaulting her mother as she tried to leave their home and threatening her and her two siblings with a butcher's knife for the rest of the evening. Despite this, Lisa still wanted to have a relationship with her father. One area where she connected with him was their love of alcohol. Despite being underage, Lisa remembered being encouraged by her father and other adult family members to drink. The rapper's parents eventually divorced, and she was raised by her grandmother. After moving to Atlanta, she soon met Tion T-Boz Watkins and Crystal Jones, and in less than a year in Atlanta, the three met record manager Perry Pebbles Reed, who told the ladies she was going to sign them. Excited to call her father about the news, her joy turned into pain when she learned her father was killed by a relative that same day. The group's tragedy didn't stop at that. While Rosanda Thomas was the last member of the trio to join, she quickly became friends with Tion Watkins and Lisa Lopes, and their chemistry meshed perfectly to form TLC. However, as the singer told WorldstarHipHop.com, her hopes for stardom became very complicated when she became pregnant. She had been in a relationship with the group's producer, Dallas Austin, and Thomas decided to terminate her pregnancy. To Vlad TV, Austin recalled the early stages of the romantic relationship with the artist and how it almost ended the group's and Watkins' careers. We would hide it because Pebbles was so crazy about the girls being groupies and don't be dating no producers. So when we first started dating, we kept it away from her and only the girls knew it. It wasn't until she got pregnant the first time that Pebbles found out, and then she kicked her out of the group. Working on their debut album, and with Perry Pebbles Reed actively looking for Thomas's replacement, Austin convinced her to keep the trio the same. While the decision may have saved her music career, it is something that Thomas looks back on with regret to this day. "I didn't want to do that. I'm 20. My career hadn't even really started. So how do I do all of that? How could I be a mommy? It messed me up. It broke my spirit. I gave in and broke to what someone else wanted," she tearfully recounts. But did you know there was another member of the group? Crystal Jones, along with Tion T-Boz Watkins and Lisa Left Eye Lopes, was part of the original TLC before being replaced by Rosanda Chili Thomas. Behind the Music says that at the group's audition for LaFace Records, Jones did not impress LaFace's co-head, Louisiana Reed. Interestingly enough, Jones was the band's leader. Second Nature, the group's original name, was led by Jones and T-Boz, but Left Eye auditioned for Jones, who decided to add her. T-Boz recalled that she and Left Eye immediately clicked, leaving Jones the odd woman out. Jones was out and replaced by Chili, who was a dancer for LaFace artist Damien Dame. Following the release of their 2013 biopic, Crazy Sexy Cool, the TLC story, Jones spoke to Rolling Out about her portrayal. While the film portrayed her as less talented than T-Boz and Left Eye, she said her exit stemmed from her unwillingness to sign Perry Pebbles Reed's contract without representation. "I turned to Pebbles and I asked if I could take mine home and have my mom look it over, and she said, absolutely not. So I chose not to sign my contract. They kept having meetings without me, and all of a sudden, they told me they didn't want me in the group anymore," she recounts. That aside, in a past interview with Good Morning America promoting her book, A Sick Life, Tion T-Boz Watkins remembered a conversation she had when she was just 7 years old. "I was told at 7 years old I would never live past 30. I would be disabled my whole life and never have kids." T-Boz and around 100,000 people in the United States suffer from an incurable blood disorder called sickle cell anemia. In March 1992, TLC seemed to be on cloud 9. Their debut album, Ooh, on the TLC Tip, was released the month prior to critical and commercial success, and the group was touring to packed venues. Behind the Music says, while on tour, T-Boz, who had kept her disease private to even her bandmates, suffered a life-threatening sickle cell attack. The episode forced a tour postponement as she rested for 2 weeks in a Nebraska hospital. Rosanda Chili Thomas and Lisa Left Eye Lopes stayed in the hospital to look after T-Boz's progress. Also, as Chili recalled, the group adjusted their touring schedule. "What we decided is that we're going to work 3 nights a week, have a few days off, maybe 4 the next, and just make sure we have those days off so that we can all rest, especially her." Speaking to People magazine, T-Boz admitted years later she fell into a coma after breastfeeding her child. She said, "Sickle cell patients need every drop of fluid they can get, and losing that much breast milk almost stopped my heart." Any music fan will tell you that it is a classic trope for young groups to sign bad first deals with their manager, a tale as old as time. However, it did not take long for the women to understand how bad their contract was with their first manager, Perry Pebbles Reed, and her company Pebitone. According to Behind the Music, the deal gave Pebitone a stake in their songs, the name of the group, exclusive publishing and production deals, and committed the group for up to 8 albums. Shortly after T-Boz recovered from her sickle cell episode, the 3 ladies began to look for a way out of Pebbles' grip. They believed that Pebbles had turned down a variety of different venues where they could perform or advertise themselves, such as films and television. Pebbles denied this, but agreed to step back from the group. However, still under the contract they signed with Pebbles, their now former manager would be receiving a healthy cut of the band's earnings for years. The relationship between Pebbles and TLC took another interesting turn decades after her departure. Speaking to Mark Lamont Hill of the Huffington Post in 2013, she said she believed that Rosanda Chili Thomas slept with her then-husband, LaFace Records co-head L.A. Reid. According to Essence, in 2020, she and Viacom agreed on a settlement after she sued the network for her portrayal in the TLC biopic, saying the film portrayed her as conniving and dishonest. It's from here that the tragic story of Left Eye begins. In the early 1990s, Atlanta culture became the center of pop culture, music, and sports, with TLC and the Atlanta Falcons at the forefront. Falcons wide receiver Andre "Bad Moon" Risson became a sports superstar. Eventually, as told by Behind the Music, the two worlds collided when Risson and Lisa "Left Eye" Lopes began a romantic relationship. The relationship played out in national headlines for the better part of a decade, for better and for much worse. Abuse allegations and infidelity rumors followed the seemingly in-love couple. According to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Left Eye said her relationship with her father contributed to her attraction to Risson. "I think people naturally gravitate toward things they can relate to, things they've experienced, what's familiar to them." In June 1994, the rapper set fire to Risson's home following a fight. The boombox says that Left Eye was angry when Risson returned home after a night of clubbing, and the pair fought. Risson claimed he hit the singer in self-defense before leaving, at which point she set fire to Risson's shoes. The fire burned out of control and consumed the house. Left Eye turned herself in, though she avoided jail time. By June 2001, the pair were discussing marriage, MTV reports. The marriage would never happen. At the 1996 Grammys, TLC took home 2 awards for Best R&B Album and Best R&B Performance for a Duo or Group. Today, the ceremony is not remembered for the awards, but for the post-show interview when the group announced to the public that they were broke as broke can be. In a tale of young artists being taken advantage of, TLC is one of the most cautionary examples of this story. Despite 2 successful albums up to that point, on July 3, 1995, the group declared bankruptcy, holding a debt of $3.5 million. The contract signed long ago with Perry Pebbles Reed and the group's deals with LaFace and Arista Records left the 3 ladies with very little money. All 3 parties, Pebbles, LaFace, and Arista, took out their shares for recording expenses like distribution, studio time, and more. They also took out expenses for the ladies' travels, lawyers, hotels, clothing, and music videos. This was compounded by Tion T-Boz Watkins' expensive medical requirements, Left Eye's legal battles, and the fact that their 56 cents per album sold had to be split 3 ways between the members. By the end of the year following their 1994 album, Crazy Sexy Cool, each member of one of the best-selling girl groups took home only $50,000. As earlier mentioned, over the next few years, the group would negotiate with LaFace and finally get Pebbles' contract out of their lives. Then, in 1999, after the release of their critically and commercially successful 3rd album, Fan Mail, which Revolt said cemented their legacies as the girl group of the era, the 3 members started to take shots at each other. In an open letter to Entertainment Weekly in November 1999, Left Eye challenged her 2 bandmates to release an album featuring 3 separate sets of their own music. Each would be a solo album, and the winner would receive a $1.5 million prize. In the letter, she referred to T-Boz as player and Chili as hater. She also called producer Dallas Austin the manipulator. The challenge seemed to be a climax to rising tension. During a show the month before the letter, concertgoers noticed Chili and T-Boz seemed to ignore Left Eye while she mirrored their disinterest. During the song What About Your Friends, T-Boz stared down Left Eye while singing the song's lyrics. Despite any tension between the women, T-Boz and Chili responded to the statement with a plea for unity. Left Eye then responded by saying, "I just want credit for my ideas because I am the creative force behind TLC." The rapper's continued distancing from TLC eventually led one of her bandmates to start taking more shots towards her in the media. Chili called her the troublemaker and said they were tired of Left Eye's comments and actions. But the group's unity wasn't the only problem they had to deal with. Left Eye was not the only member of the group to have trouble with men, though neither Chili nor T-Boz have set fire to their partners' homes. Both women had longtime partners in the music industry, and both women's relationships ended in heartbreak. For Chili, this began with her music producer, Dallas Austin. The two dated on and off throughout the 90s, and after an initial pregnancy that ended in an abortion, they actually had a son. However, as Austin told Angela Yee in an interview, Chili eventually left him for another Atlanta-based musician, Usher, leaving him heartbroken. While he was still producing for TLC, he recalled one session being like a torture chamber. Usher and Chili dated for a few years before they split. It was believed that Usher had affairs outside of the relationship leading to its ending, and he took that heartbreak to make the smash album, Confessions. Chili told US Magazine years later that this was just a false rumor. As for T-Boz, she did actually walk down the aisle unlike her bandmates, marrying rapper Mac, 10 in 2000 and having a daughter. Unfortunately, like with Andre Ricin and Left Eye, allegations of abuse surrounded the couple, and they divorced in 2004, with T-Boz being granted a temporary restraining order against her ex-husband. Despite the tensions that the group dealt with at the beginning of the 2000s and her debut solo album, Supernova, not yet released in the US, Left Eye still desired to continue her music career in and outside the group. According to the New York Times, as earlier mentioned, the rapper had traveled to Honduras with her entourage. She was working on a documentary about her spiritual journey, as her spokesperson explained. On April 25, 2002, Left Eye and her entourage were involved in a single-car accident, with their car going off-road and flipping several times before coming to a halt. Lopes suffered fatal injuries from the crash, while the other members of the vehicle, including both her siblings, suffered only minor injuries and were treated at a hospital. She was a month away from turning 31 years old. According to biography, her solo album, Supernova, had yet to be formally released in the US, and TLC's fourth album, 3D, was still in production. The documentary she was working on, titled The Last Days of Left Eye, would not be released until 2007, as told by MTV. The remaining TLC members paid tribute to their late musical sister 4 months later at the 2002 VMAs. Unfortunately for T-Boz, sickle cell, money issues, and the death of her friend and musical partner were not the only ordeals she has had to face. Speaking to CBS News in 2009, T-Boz revealed to the world she had been suffering from a brain tumor for 3 years. Doctors told her it was benign. However, because of her sickle cell anemia, surgery to remove the tumor would be extremely risky, potentially causing the loss of hearing, speech, and more. "I can't just go have surgery." They were like, "No, I'm sorry, sickle cell is a factor, that's your reality and you can die," she explained. Dr. Keith Black from Cedars-Sinai Medical Center ultimately performed the surgery, and while it was successful, the healing process took 3 years, according to Essence. In her first public appearance, T-Boz wore sunglasses to hide the fact that she could not blink her right eye while speaking very little, as she still could not form some words. While not as shocking as the first time she declared bankruptcy in the mid-1990s, money problems followed the sickly singer into the 21st century. In November 2011, Boz filed for bankruptcy to the tune of $768,643, according to Billboard. In court documents, it was discovered that the singer was receiving only $1,200 in royalty payments from TLC and was owed $250,000 in child support payments. Unfortunately, the money struggles would continue with the singer, as the next month, she filed for bankruptcy once again. Under the third bankruptcy plan, Boz would have to pay $2,880 for 36 months. In February 2012, a judge denied her bankruptcy filing. Trustee Adam M. Goodman said she had not been pulling her weight in bankruptcy, citing missed meetings, failure to provide any financial plans, and not turning over proof of her monthly mortgage payments. Speaking to The Guardian in 2015, the singer said this about TLC: "A lot of people have made money off us, and we haven't." All in all, coming from a troubled and abusive background, Left Eye didn't allow that toxicity to result in a lack of compassion for others, as she often took matters into her own hands whenever given a chance to assist the downtrodden and less fortunate. Filling her lyrics with spiritual gems meant to enlighten and inspire, the rapper also exuded those same virtues in her daily life and appeared to constantly be on her own journey of healing the emotional wounds within. That search led her to Honduras, where she visited for a 30-day spiritual retreat before tragically passing away. During the trip, which was documented in the VH1 film The Last Days of Left Eye. She began the process of spearheading the building of 2 educational centers for the impoverished country's children. While Left Eye wouldn't live to see their completion through, those centers speak to the core of who she was as a person and her potential as an agent of change. And that's it from us today. Until next time, thank you for watching.